Hello and welcome back to Everyday Writers, your one-stop shop for demystifying the writing process. We're here to be helpful guides on your journey to becoming a published author. I'm one of your hosts, Crystal McQueen.
I'm your other host, Jordan S. Keller, and on today's bonus author interview, we would like to welcome to the show LPM Sinclair.
Sinclair is the author of the new adult fantasy romance, is the author of several new adult fantasy romances, including Star Dropped, Golden Sun, the Crimson Steel series, and her newest release, Songs for Dead Gods, which I just recently read.
So
Sinclair
jealous.
is an artist and author from Cincinnati, Ohio, where she lives with her husband, cats, and small forest of houseplants. Welcome to the show, Sinclair.
Hi, happy to be here.
So, Songs for Dead Gods has such a cool title, such a cool cover, which I believe you illustrated yourself.
I actually have two versions of that cover. So I have
Ooh.
one right here, which I did myself. Sorry if there's a little bit of glare on it. And then I have this covered, which was done by the very talented Rachel Bostick. She is absolutely lovely to work with, and we'll be doing the rest of the series. So you'll be
Ooh.
seeing more of them more often. When I first started writing the book, it went on Kindle Vella, which meant that it needed a cover, and I decided to draw my own. But once it got closer and closer to book release, I was like, it needs a little pizzazz. So that's when I brought in Rachel.
Super cool. So I unfortunately have not read it yet. I was traveling. I can't wait to get into it. But
All good.
could you give me and our reader or our listeners a bit of a synopsis of what's in store?
Yeah, for sure. So I have two main characters of this story. We open with Eve. She is a traveling violinist who has a deal with a demon on her soul. She has to play the violin to keep herself alive. Unfortunately, that means that it takes the life force of whoever hears her songs. So when people hear her songs, she's taking away their life. And Eve is actually genuinely deep down a very good person, and she didn't make this deal herself. She inherited it from her father, and her grandfather before him. So she's been doing her best to kind of bear this burden for about 100 years now. She's been wandering around town to town, getting run off, being accused of witchcraft, all that fun stuff. But she has committed to a nomadic lifestyle because she doesn't want to take too much from the same people over and over, and you know be that very cruel force in their lives. So that brings her to Heartsuite, where we meet my second main character, Silas. Silas has a bit of a complicated backstory to him when you first meet him. He's dealing with this blight that's been happening on his forest and in his small town that he loves so, so much, and he doesn't know what to do about it. He is an archfey, kind of the bigger, badder version of the littler fae, littler demons, that kind of thing. Yeah. But he doesn't have all of his memories, and he doesn't know what his powers are, and he's been going through this really bad kind of depressive episode, trying to reconnect with his music. And after losing his best friends who've been with him this whole time, the other archfey kings and the forest gods of his little town, he's just going through it. So in meeting Eve, who is also very mature, dealing with her own stuff, they kind of find this commonality in playing music together and going back and forth and figuring out what this like happy ever after could possibly be for them. But we're not sure. It has some hints of more of a gothic fairy tale retelling. It leans on the sweeter side, but I definitely do take it more towards the darker side of, I mean, Silas is dealing with some really heavy stuff, and so is Eve. So, and we deal with him in like a monstrous form that is showing the worst parts of himself, and he detests that form, but he can't resist it. So, we play with some darker themes right alongside that fairy tale tone.
Super
Nice.
cool.
Well, when I was reading your book, I did notice that there were a lot of musical themes. You've got the violinist and the pianist, and I was wondering if your own experiences possibly with music may have influenced it. Like, why did you decide to take this musical theme, especially because your dedication said to all of the musicians out there?
So I am a musician. I played French horn, trumpet, mellophone, all the good brass stuff, but I'm also married to one. So
Oh.
my husband is a professional musician. He's also a music teacher. So that is embroiled into my life. I'm staring at two pianos right now across the room from me. So in bringing in those musical themes, I promise that they are all accurate because I had a very good, very qualified fact checker. But what I wanted to do with this series in particular, with the musical theme, in this one, I think that music has its unique turn in being one of the all-encompassing things where you can sit and you can see and you can hear and you can feel very emotionally. And all of the arts have their own twist on that. So each book in this series going forward, we focused on a different art. But I really wanted to start with music because I felt it had this grandness to it. And I'll be going into painting and how artists quite literally put their soul into their paintings. I'll be going with sculptures and how they can be used to like bring attention to power or bring attention to the artists and their message, and how they are these big stately things, but they also are just as beautiful, small and tiny, and at the bottom of the ocean. That's a little spoiler. And then I also deal with the theater and plays and all that fun stuff. So it really is just a lovely little series that I get to explore the different arts through, and I'm so looking forward to writing more of them.
It's so
Nice.
cool. It's making me think a lot of like the Greek muses and how each one represented a different type of art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. I have the nine kings of the human realm. We won't visit all nine because some of them, frankly, are irredeemable. But there are some very sweet ones, and this story kind of follows around the different artists and as they meet the king or princess, um, and kind of fall in love and realize that, we can be together, we can make art together, and that art is best enjoyed with others.
Mm.
So we're refounding our community there, and I tried to bring that in with Silas and him being the last of his kind, and kind of revitalized himself by reaching out to other people and asking Eve for help. He has to get over himself a little bit, but we love it.
They all do.
So in reaching out and, making that connection with Eve and with his townspeople, he's able to pull himself back up. So we're going to continue that theme a little bit as we introduce more kings and more artists.
Love it. You mentioned the importance of community, and on your social medias, I saw that you do a lot of tabletop games and that you take inspiration from them for your stories. I do that with my books. I really enjoy just recreating those kind of worlds. Can
Yeah.
you talk about some of those inspirations and maybe if any of them became something unexpected or took a turn you weren't thinking they would take?
So I pull inspiration from absolutely everything in my life. I take inspiration from the tabletop games that I play and the community that I'm in, playing those games simply just because they're my friends. And that, good old power of friendship and the friends we made along the way. But I will say that in pulling from different things, so a great example would be in D&D, there's the Blood Hunter class.
Mhm.
And my book Crimson Steel would literally not exist without the Blood Hunter class of D&D, and the way that Matthew Mercer wrote those wrote that class and wrote that community of people and wrote their profession. I didn't rip it word for word, but it was definitely a huge influence. And obviously I'm dealing with wizards with all of the good tropes. We have orbs, we have stabs, we have all of that goodness. That book did throw me for a loop in an unexpected way, because I did not expect it to be as big as it was, and I did not expect it to be an entire series. I was like, oh, I'll write a little throwaway about a monster hunter falling in love with a wizard, and wouldn't you know, we have 5 books planned and she's my most popular. So,
5, holy moly.
so in that way it definitely threw me for a loop.
Well, so just speaking of that series, the sequel to Crimson Steel series is coming out soon. So, can you talk about two things? One was, how is writing the sequel compared to like writing the first book where you're kind of discovering the world? And then also, because this is a podcast about writing, can you give our listeners a look at the day in the life for you as an author? How do you write? Like, do you get inspiration? Are you a daily writer? You a plotter or a pantser,
Oh gosh. So you're not going to love my answer, and I don't know if your viewers will either, but I can offer some comfort to any of the chaos writers out there. I am pure head to toe chaos writer. I have several whips going at all times, several books that I'm working on, as my mood strikes me, as inspiration strikes me. I do not write in order. I write the scene I want to write when I want to write that scene. So my day to day, I do end up averaging about 1,000 words across different works. That would be a lot more helpful if I could focus on one, but it just doesn't work for me.
You're
Um,
all getting momentum some way or another.
yes, yeah. So it's definitely like cycling through what is the mood of the day. And I wish that someone had told me way earlier in my writing career that you can write out of order and that that's okay. And that you can follow those like random little rabbit ideas. They'll scurry off into the forest and it is okay to chase them. It is fine. If I had not chased them, I would not have written Crimson Steel because I was working on the sequel to Star Trek Golden Sun at that time. So
Oh.
I was in the throes of editing that and had this random harebrained idea, and wouldn't you know?
So when you're writing out of order, are you able to jump ahead in different books in the series, or do you kind of
Yeah,
stay within? Wow.
definitely do that. That isn't to say that what I write stays
Mhm.
towards that final end, but there are huge chunks of Dark Wizard Crimson Steel sequel that I have had done for a very long time. I have had done since
Wow.
when I was writing the first book.
Wow.
There are chunks of the third book that I had written when I wrote the first book. It's all kind of part of the process of enmeshing everything together and making sure that it's a good overarching narrative. And
Mhm.
for me, that works because if I sat down and just wanted to plot a sequel without having given thought to that in the first one,
Mhm.
I feel like some authors have that. Oh, I just have like a random idea for a sequel. And that's great and good. But you need those flowing plot points that you can follow
Mhm.
through everything. So there are lots of details in the first book, and there'll be even more in the second book that you're going to be like, wow, Lydia, you did not wrap that up. And
Like, no,
oh
of course I
boy,
did.
yeah, oh boy, does that come back, I promise. Just like give me a book or two.
I
I already
fell
have the twist.
I fell into that rabbit hole. So now whenever even I'm like, this will be a standalone book no matter what, I'll still leave a little bit of room to grow just in case.
Yes, I think that's a very important part of the process. So, like, even Upon His Throne, which I wrote as part of a writing competition where I was handed a cover and a brand new pen name. I had to market it from scratch, whole new title, didn't get to pick the title. It was that kind of fun and game of like, oh, I'll just publish this one book.
Mhm.
But yeah, I definitely have a doc somewhere that has the seedlings that I left alone. They're ready to be book two whenever I get to it.
That is so cool. Ooh. Well, that's all the time we have for this bonus episode of Everyday Writers. Sinclair, can you let our listeners know where to find you and what you have in store for them coming up?
Yeah, definitely. So all of my books are available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. I will be having a couple new releases coming up here soon. I just released Caretaker of Hawthorne Hill. That is a novelette that you can find on Letterpress. It is a newer platform. That is where you're going to find my short stories. Most of them are free. So if you don't know if you like me yet, that's a great place to come and find me. But over on Amazon and KU, I will have Dark Wizard up and ready to go as a whole book. And if you're really impatient, you can also find that serialized on Letterpress. I just can't promise that it's as polished as the final action. So,
Wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you so very much, Sinclair, for being on our show. And for everyone else, join us next time where Jordan and I will be talking through infusing your novel with tension. And if you love what you hear on Everyday Writers, don't forget to click that subscribe button and follow Jordan and I on Instagram.
And don't
thank
forget
you
that
so
every day is a good day to write. And follow Sinclair too.
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Bye.